For thousands of years, the legend of Atlantis has been the ultimate ghost story of history, a tale of a magnificent, advanced civilization punished by the gods and swallowed by the sea. It has captivated philosophers, explorers, and dreamers, living in the hazy realm between myth and potential reality. We've always wondered, was it a philosophical allegory or a genuine, lost chapter of the human story? What if the answer was not found by a treasure hunter with a map, but by a scientist staring at a computer screen, and the truth was far more terrifying and profound than we ever imagined? The possible role that a bug played in the solving of the world's greatest mystery for millennia. It was the specter that lingered in the attic of human history. It was a dazzling, tragic legend that had been handed down from Plato, the most brilliant intellect in Greek history. It was a massive island kingdom of god-kings that had progressed beyond measure and that vanished under the waters in a single day and night of misfortune. He dubbed it Atlantis. Explorers, visionaries, and crackpots had been searching the world for ages, pointing to places like the Bahamas, the Mediterranean, and even Antarctica as areas of potential discovery. They came across nothing except hypotheses that were alluring and dead ends. To this point, and the most incredible aspect of it all, they were not even searching for it at the time. The breakthrough did not originate from a trowel in the mud or a map that had been faded by the sun. The information originated from a supercomputer that was operating in a facility that was otherwise unremarkable at the Oceanographic Institute of Crete. It was processing petabytes of sonar data that was collected from the ocean below. A brand new quantum resonance imaging method was being used by the group, which was being directed by Dr. Aris Thorne, a geophysicist who had the tired eyes of a guy who has seen an excessive number of false dawns. It was not intended to locate vanished towns. Rather, its objective was to predict tectonic plate changes. The objective of the algorithm was to eliminate noise, also known as geological clutter, in order to expose the underlying structure in its purest form. On the other hand, Ilara Kostas, a PhD student of Dr. Thorne's, became aware of an abnormality one morning. A ghost signal that is both huge and persistent, located on the submerged plateau known as the Spardell Bank, which is located east of the Gibraltar Strait. Not at all like rock. There was something wrong with the pattern. It was too geometric and too unnaturally cohesive. "It's a glitch, Eris," she remarked, ignoring it at the same time. Some kind of interference from a submarine or a mineral deposit. However, Thorne, a guy who relied on data more than his own eyes, had a tingling sensation on the back of his neck. "Glitches are random," he whispered as he zoomed in on the situation. "There is a tendency here. This is a signature, if you will." The data were rerun by them. Then they attempted it once again. However, the ghost did not disappear. It showed a vast construction that was concentric, consisting of a big outer ring, a second inner ring, and an oblong island in the center of the configuration. Plato's depiction of the capital city of Atlantis was a perfect and terrible fit for this metropolis. By definition, the whole planet began to hold its breath, and then it abruptly split in half. The naysayers yelled out in astonishment. An acral basalt formation. A computer error. A pareidolia seeing faces in clouds. But then the deciding factor arrived. The Nereus, an autonomous drone designed for deep-sea operations, was sent out. It was not successful in discovering the towering golden statues or the gushing power cores of your imagination. It discovered something that was far more deep and much more genuine. Under the surface of the Spardell Bank, 100 meters below the surface, the lights of the drone pierced through the everlasting darkness. Instead of smooth silt, they lit very large, rectangular slabs of a peculiar stone that resembled glass and had been fused together at angles that were difficult to imagine. It was not simply a collection of random ruins. Rather, they were laid out in broad, purposeful corridors and what seemed to be the foundations of enormous, circular constructions. Then there is the core sample. Not only did the drill bit bring up silt, but it also brought up a layer of nanodiamonds and vitrified rock. This is the type of material that can only be generated by a catastrophic, instantaneous heat shock that is far more powerful than any volcano. There was a cosmic event that left its mark on the geological landscape, an unconventional and terrifying hypothesis. It is at this point that the narrative moves beyond the realm of archaeology and transforms into a cosmic cautionary tale. Atlantis was said to have fallen out of favor with the gods, according to Plato. According to Dr. Thorne's team, there is an alternative apocalypse that is founded on scientific evidence. It is thought that a fragmented comet, which is the same comet that is now considered to have caused the mini-ice age known as the Younger Dryas, did not simply shower fire from the sky about 12,800 years ago. Near the westernmost point of Gibraltar, a significant portion of it, which was a city killer, crashed right into the Atlantic Ocean. A coastal kingdom was not the only thing that was wiped out by the collision. It also caused tsunamis. That was a far more serious offense. Because of the power with which it impacted, a phenomena known as crustal displacement occurred on the Spartal Bank, which is a shelf that is both shallow and stable. A single cataclysmic occurrence caused the whole continent to collapse into the deeper abyssal plain. This was caused by the bedrock itself, which trembled and melted. A single day and night of misfortune. Yet, who exactly were these Atlanteans? Although the early sonar scans provided some clues about the layout of the city, the Nereus's tiny imager provided the definitive answer. It was not human features that were carved into the odd, non-corroding metal of an item that was retrieved. Rather, it was intricate, swirling patterns that did not correspond to any identified civilization. The genetic material that was extracted from the deep sediment layers revealed a distinct and isolated haplogroup, which is a subset of the human population that has developed independently over the course of thousands of years. Not at all were they the bronze-clad Greeks, whom Plato depicted in his allegory. They were a distinct maritime culture that flourished on that rich plateau during times when the water level was lower while they lived there. They were not powered by magical crystals, but rather by a great grasp of ocean currents, astronomy, and geothermal energy from the area that was experiencing tectonic activity. Plato's fabled metal, which he referred to as orichalcum, might have been a complex brass alloy or a naturally occurring metallic glass that was highly valued for its characteristics. Therefore, the genuine legacy of Atlantis is not one of very powerful weaponry or technology from another world. This is the tale of the susceptibility of the human race. The fact that sophisticated civilizations may come to prominence, prosper, and even be completely eradicated off the face of the earth by a random act of cosmic violence is shown by this data. Their wisdom, their tales, and their entire existence were all obliterated by the sea, and the only remnants of their existence are a faint and twisted echo in the writings of an Egyptian priest who related a narrative to a Greek legislator. Due to the finding made on the Spartal Bank, the topic of whether or not Atlantis existed is no longer relevant. What we have lost is a far more deep question that has now come to light. And when we gaze up at the sky now, watching things that are close to the earth with nervous accuracy, we are finally starting to appreciate the entire weight of Plato's warning. This warning is not about pride. Rather, it is about our vulnerable status in a world that is violent. It is no longer a myth that the narrative of Atlantis exists. We have a history of doing this, and it might very well be our future as well.